Mr. Speaker, my supplementary question to the Prime Minister in this regard is regarding Napanapa Oil Refinery. Prime Minister knows, everybody knows, one of the factors contributing to inflation or cost of everything going up is fuel as a result of this war in Ukraine. And in this respect, my understanding is that Napanapa, they have, the refinery has a capacity to supply all the fuel we need in PNG and of course also in the Pacific. But they have a problem accessing crude oil. And the crude oil they access, half of it or maybe 3/4 come from a market in Singapore. And to get that crude oil, of course, they need access to Forex. So my understanding is that Napanapa Oil Refinery have problem accessing Forex in order to purchase crude oil from Singapore. So my question is government working with Napanapa Oil Refinery to get more crude oil from Kutubu to supplement if there is any shortfall, or is there a strategy that we can come up with to get crude oil internally, or otherwise get cheaper crude oil in the international market, like get it from other countries like Venezuela, for example? You know, but we need a strategy. So that's basically my question to the Prime Minister, because it's the price of oil that is, you know, boosting inflation, getting price of all the goods and services to go high. So we need a strategy to fix that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I note the importance of the supplementary question that the Governor of NCD has raised. As I did make mention earlier, in respect to fuel and fuel supplies in our country, we're looking at removing excise or levy on those fuels. So in this time, it is not passed to the consumers or customers. But in the issue of Kutubu crude, as we know, Kutubu crude has contracts to it. It's being exported at the moment. This is something we're looking at going forward into the future. That is why this government has always been aggressive in the domestic market obligation side of gas for our country, so that we move into the space of downstream. And downstream processing in our country is something that we have overlooked for many, many years. Now, we push on long, kisi more long or gas lumi, oil lumi, long ensuring that you make a downstream processing law. This plus something into the future. We're not dependent too much, and especially essential items like fuel. We're not dependent so much on the external forces of market, where price rise, and we also having price rise in our domestic economy. So going forward, this is something we're looking at, consistent with our downstream processing focus, and our increased push to secure more gas. As we've seen, we are securing more gas in Penang for downstream space. That is consistent with the drive. But the immediate production in Kutubu is something we're looking at to ensure that if there are any excess, and they could Prima could pick up from Kutubu and process in country, we're trying to match that with the removal of excise as well as levy to ensure price of fuel is not skyrocketing, but stabilizing, if not come back to where it was before the Ukraine crisis was. Your question, Mr. Speaker, on the Forex excess. Forex excess, I think at this point in time, Bank of PNG has more foreign reserve in our bank than it has ever had in the last 10 years, so to speak. Today we got 10 billion kina plus, or equivalent US dollar, about $3 billion of US sitting in our foreign reserve. The important and big consumers or customers like Puma and those who need Forex, in my view, they should have easy access now, or better access to US dollar for their purchase also than it was before. I will get to look at it. If Puma is struggling, then I'll get the treasurer and his team to assist them, so that in this tough time, we don't have a queue, or we don't have shortage of fuels in our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.